reporting that Ben Johnson is in line to become the next coach of the Chicago Bears.
Let's
go. Dan Campbell and the Lions lose their brilliant offensive coordinator, although that trick play may give you a second thoughts. Your reaction?
All right. So there was real questions about whether he would take the Raider job. And I think Ben Johnson was the best possible hire for the Bears. I said this months ago. Danny's been saying it forever. If he had taken the Raider job to go to the AFC West with no quarterback rather than go coach Caleb, I would no longer think he would have been a great hire. Be like, oh, okay, I've overestimated your football IQ.
That's great.
Like that's it would just be the gravitational pull of Brady is just so massive he couldn't turn him down, but it would have been crazy. Listen, I obviously am on the record. I thought he got a hair too cute a number of times throughout the year, trying to show how deep his bag of trick plays was, and I do think it bit him. I just said 5-10 minutes ago, in the NFC Championship game a bit. With that said, the ideal situation is pairing up your young, top flight, potentially, high drafted rookie quarterback with an offensive mind if you can. That way he doesn't have to go through right now they're already like, oh, is Cliff Kingsbury going to get a job now? Like, that would kind of be a bummer for Jaden. Because, now it's a new offensive coordinator. And so it's not that can't work or whatever, but the ideal is if you have a young quarterback to get an offensive-minded head coach so he can grow with him. And I think they give them a chance for this. I'm not going to act like it's a sure thing because, 1 in 4 first-time head coaches succeed. So I understand that it's not a sure thing, but it's the hire I would have made, and I think it's a smart hire by Chicago.
Yeah, it's the one I wanted them to make, too. And, look, all the two, like you see in Detroit, where you got the nice receiving core. You could argue that the Bears receiving core can be better than Detroit's, right? You got DeAndre Swift as a running back. You got the 2 great running backs in Detroit. All those pieces that Johnson worked with. And Caleb has more, obviously, mobility and things like that than Goff. So, I mean, you're right. We've seen great coordinators coach not turn into great head coaches. So it's possible Ben Johnson didn't great. But I'm looking at next year saying, okay, let's see what Caleb can do.
Yes.
You're watching your competition, Jaden Daniels, the guy picked after you, have this remarkable historic run. So you're clearly motivated. You got a great offensive coordinator, we believe, an offensive mind. You got pieces around you, and the defense I think is good too. So go out there and get it done, Caleb.
Yeah, I realize this last game wasn't a great game for Jared Goff, but he has really played better than I think anybody expected in Detroit. And you gotta give his development. You got to give a lot of credit for his development, and to him. And I think that this is an interesting situation. It's going to be. I'm curious to see how he builds out his staff, because you want to go get some veterans because you're a first-time head coach that can help you kind of navigate through that process. And your offensive line coach is going to be an extremely important hire, especially in Chicago, who's had such problems from an offensive line perspective. So that's a huge hire. And then what will his role be? Will he be the offensive coordinator and solely focus on the offense and be sort of the head coach in name and have a veteran defensive coordinator that kind of runs the defense? Or will he have an offensive coordinator that he...
No way.
He loves. I think he's going to want to.
He loves being an offensive coordinator. It looks like it.
But I do hope that in that role, and assuming that role, which is great, that you're also the head coach of the whole team, right. And you don't go that route of, hey, I don't really know what's happening on defense. I don't know what's happening on special teams because I'm handling the offense.
Can I just our Diana Rossini reported that he is going to pick and hire Dennis Allen as his defensive coordinator. So I love that in this regard. Dennis Allen's been a proven awesome defensive coordinator. He's also been a head coach twice. Now, people that watch this show closely know I have real questions about Dennis Allen, the head coach. But that's totally irrelevant to his ability as a defensive coordinator. And I think a young first-time head coach, having someone who's been a head coach on the staff, something I think
it's huge. That's huge because there's so many things that come up as a head coach. And Bill Parcells told me this when I got my job. There's 5 things every day that come up with that you haven't scheduled and you've got to deal with. And a lot of times stuff comes up that you have no idea how to deal with because you've never. you've never even had to think about it. Right. So to have someone who's been through some of those decisions and that process and problems, it's a real positive.
Glass half full, Caleb gets unlocked with Ben Johnson's offensive magic. Does that also mean that Jared Goff takes a step backwards?
Well, we saw when Daboll left Buffalo, Daboll got a lot of credit, but it looks like Josh has been able to continue to develop. So it'll be curious to see if there's initially a pullback or whether or not, Jared's far enough along in his career that whoever they bring in, they can kind of keep growing from there.
But I don't think it's, for me, that's the other piece of it. Like, this is where, for the Lions, man, and one of my best friends is a diehard Lions fan, one of the best radio hosts in America in Kansas City. And I feel sick for him because I know it poke fun at tiny hands and stuff, but this was the best Lions team ever. And 24 hours ago, when was this game? Yeah, 24 hours ago, it was awesome, man. Or I guess whenever the game was, 48 hours ago. We're almost double-digit favorites.
Yeah.
We're going to be favorites. We are Super Bowl favorites, have been since the playoffs started. You know what I mean? We got to the postseason in Week 18, played maybe our best game of the year, and we're rolling. And then you play one of your worst games of the year, kind of on both sides of the ball at the worst possible time, and now your offensive coordinator is gone. Your defensive coordinator is probably gone as well. It looks like he could take either the Saints job or the Jets job. And then it's wait, even if Goff is fine, there was real value to Ben Johnson's offensive play calling and the way he did it and all of it. It's just, I'm not saying they're cooked, but it's a tough thing to recover from when they thought they were going to be preparing this week to host the NFC Championship game, and instead they're figuring out who their OC is going to be.
In fairness, so Detroit's a shell of who they were defensively. When you've got 18 guys on IR, that's a pretty dramatic hill or obstacle to have to overcome.
No doubt.
So if they come back next year and they are much healthier and can live healthier,
Coach, I think
be back in
matters.
the mix.
That's, you can say
coaching doesn't matter.
Just get some nice 24-18 games.
No, everybody loves the 50-6. That's why they're the
true.
favorites.